Hello from Gardening at Douentza in Ireland, and this video is about Yucca brevifolia, the Joshua tree. And before I start the video properly, I just wanted to give you a brief run through on the latest updates on the #GrowItForJosh project. And I'm pleased to tell you that I have 7 people to tell you about today. So without further ado, we'll just get right down to it. We're sitting in the greenhouse now and we're looking at this crinum here, which is opened. If I can locate the video where I bought these crinums at Bloom last year, I think, I'll link to it up above. But I think it's a good spot just to have a little chat and a little talk about these people, these wonderful people who are growing something for Josh. And the first person I want to tell you about is Eric from Belgium, who has managed to flower a wonderful Gongora orchid, and you'll see photographs of it at the end. And it really is a super beauty. Now, Eric also has a funny story to tell of when he first heard my video, the one that talked about the Grow It For Josh campaign. And while the video was playing, one of his guinea pigs started squeaking away, almost going mad, and he was wondering what it was about. And then afterwards he remembered that, of course, in English our word guinea pig has the word pig in it, whereas it doesn't in French. But he took it as a sign, and he said that this guinea pig, the first male offspring that she has, is going to be named after Josh. So that's really nice. The next person I want to tell you about is Lee Lut from Estonia, and sorry Lee if I'm mispronouncing your name, big apologies, but she contacted me recently sending me this photograph of a fantastic hibiscus that she's growing to remember Josh. So thank you so much, Lee, it's really appreciated. Now we're moving to the States, where we have Ginger L from Wisconsin, who's growing a cotyledon for Josh, and the common name for this plant is pig's ear. Now, she had just bought this plant before she heard about the Grow for Josh campaign, so she thought it would be quite suitable to grow it, and I think it really is. It's a nice connection. Next, we have Pam Kilcannon from Alabama in the States, and Pam has been really supportive of me all the way through. I've really appreciated that, Pam, and what a lovely surprise to see the pictures of the Brugmansia that you're growing for our Josh coming through on Messenger the other day. Now, the Brugmansia that Pam has chosen to grow for Josh is a variegated one called Maya. So the flowers are going to, besides variegated foliage, the flowers are going to be quite peachy. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Fantastic, a fantastic thing to grow. And finally, just to give you 2 updates on people I have mentioned already. And the first is Kathy from Queensland, Kathy Heersman from Queensland in Australia, who you may recall is growing a fantastic grevillea in her garden for Josh. And recently she has decorated its surround with these gorgeous little pigs that she has made somehow. I don't know what they're made from, but they're so cute, really lovely. Josh would have loved to see them. So thank you very much, Kathy. And finally, another Kathy, this time with a C, Kathy Crosby Day in Florida, who you may also recall was growing a fantastic pink vanda for Josh. And Kathy had given me the choice of 2 vandas that were about to flower, 2 crosses, and which one would I like to grow for Josh. And I chose the pink one because the buds had reminded Kathy of a little pig. Well, Kathy came back to me then and said that she is going to grow the other one for me. So, well, that's really nice. I hope I can watch over the vanda that's planted for Josh. So just before we move on to the main body of the video, I just want to say something to people, because a couple of people have contacted me and said that they'd like to grow something for Josh, but they'd be afraid that they might kill it, and what would that mean? And the answer is simply, it would mean absolutely nothing. You're just growing a plant. A plant is a plant. It doesn't mean anything more than that. But what it means is that you're remembering Josh. So if you grow something for him and it dies, then please choose something else and grow that for him instead, because that's what's important. So please don't be afraid. So that's it for my spell in the greenhouse. Let's take a little jaunt outside and go and find that Joshua tree. So here we are back at the stone table and looking at this view that I opened the video with, and you may well ask, what is all this about? And in fact, that is exactly the question I asked myself when I got this strange looking plant unexpectedly in the post. Looks a bit like an onion, doesn't it? Well, I just didn't know whether I should eat it or plant it. And it took me a while to get to the bottom of who had sent it and what it was all about. And I must tell you that it was John Greco in Barcelona, with the Orchidudebcn channel, who sent me this fantastic plant. Words can't express how wonderfully thoughtful this gift was. The Joshua tree, well, in Ireland anyway, it's been made famous by U2's album of the same name. And many years ago, I had looked to grow the Joshua tree when I named my child, Joshua, but could never find it. So for John to track this down and to send it to me was just so nice. And John says it was a birthday present, and the catasetum he sent me last year was also a birthday present. Well, I'm deeply honoured that you that you remember my birthday, John, and thank you so much. There are very few gifts we can get that mean such a very lot. Now, this is not a shallot onion. This is in fact a juvenile Joshua tree. And Yucca brevifolia, which is the plant's proper name, is a monocotyledon plant. So it's an early division within the plant kingdom, and you can tell that by these strappy leaves that it has. And a lot of orchids, in fact, have similar leaves. They're monocot plants. The Joshua tree is native to places like California, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and the Mojave Desert, if I'm pronouncing that one correctly, which apparently is a dense jungle just full of these trees. Now, the plant grows up and up and up, but only after it flowers does it eventually branch. So I think it's probably going to grow for quite a while before it does that. It got its name, apparently, from Mormons who were originally in these areas in the Mojave Desert, I believe, and they thought the tree looked like somebody praying, so they named it after Joshua. In any case, that part of the world has some wonderful names that hark back to the cowboy days, really. There's Lost Horse Valley and, of course, the Joshua Tree National Park, and they really are quite atmospheric. Now, this tree was only named by science in the 1870s, and that's what happens. You know, these plants have been around for millions of years, but until some white person comes along and catalogues it and describes it, it's not considered to be known by science. So, 1870s, that's when that was. And what happens is this tree, in its natural habitat, grows quite fast for the first 10 years, about 3 inches a year. So I don't know if it will do that for me, because it's going to be grown here in a very unnatural habitat. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The Joshua tree is really hard to age because it doesn't actually produce rings. And as we know, trees are usually aged by cutting a cross section of the trunk and counting the rings to see how many years the tree has been around. But the Joshua tree doesn't produce these rings, so it's very hard to age. But trees can grow and live for hundreds of years, and one account says perhaps as many as 1,000 years. So that's really nice. Now, the plant will root deeply in the desert where it normally grows. And in order to encourage it to root as best it can here, I'm going to plant it in a very gritty, sandy mix. Now if you were to plant this in something that's mostly compost, the plant would feel absolutely no need to produce a good root system because it's getting all the water it needs near the surface. But by giving it less water, i.e. planting it in a sandy mix, then it's encouraged to grow roots deeply and seek out water. So I suppose without further ado, what I'll do is pot up this most wonderful tree that John has sent me, and I've chosen one of my antique clay pots to do it with, and I'm going to do this with with one hand, a nice sandy mix. Now those roots do look a bit shriveled. When I got the plant first, not being sure of what it was, I did actually suspect it was a succulent from the leaves, but I wasn't sure. But I put it in a cup of water for a few days, so which is probably not the best thing to do considering it is such a succulent plant. Okay, so we're going to put that in here like that, and then I'm going to put some soil around it. Just pressing down here a little. And maybe a bit further. Now, this plant likes a very sunny atmosphere, so I'm not sure whether I should leave it in the greenhouse would seem to be the right thing to do, but I'm actually going away for a few weeks now, and so it's going to get, well, this somebody who's going to be watering my plants who isn't very horticulturally minded, so it might get watered too much or too little, so I'm not quite sure what to do. But there we go anyway. That's the Joshua tree planted, I guess, for my son Josh, thanks to John Greco in Spain for sending it to me. Really, thank you so much, John. And that's all. That's the end of the video. Thanks very much for watching, and do check back again for lots more planty videos. Bye now.